You're good when you're ready.
I guess I wasn't ready. There we go. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Hello, and welcome to episode 117 of Nintendo Therapy, a show about the latest Nintendo news and rumors, as well as a celebration of all of the things Nintendo. With me this week to do some Nintendo therapy is Harrison. My name's Kevin, by the way. Forgot to say that part.
Welcome, Kevin. Yes.
Welcome, Harrison.
Oh, welcome, man.
Um,
We are back. We're gonna try to keep the positivity up this week. We've
Yeah, positivity amidst what is right now a very chaotic time if you're a Nintendo fan. Just constant news left and right, most of it contradicting the last thing you heard. You don't know what to believe. But how was your week? Have you started any new games? Playing anything interesting?
you know, and this will relate to one thing I want to talk about later. Um, I so Nintendo. What have I been playing? I've been playing Stardew because I've been playing that on my gaming channel. And then I
Never a
play
bad time.
and then of course I played Kirby this week, and
Hmm.
there was something else I played. Oh, like things like Balatro or whatever. Oh,
Hmm.
I'm gonna go off on something else if I still don't stay on topic. Have you heard of the game Schedule One? Have you heard of this game?
No,
The Schedule
no.
One. So Schedule One, it's a game that I was following. I think around the last like year or so, maybe it's like 6 months, and it's pretty obvious what it's about. Schedule One, it's about making certain recreational things. Um, and I was just like I had seen it on like some of the smaller gaming channels that I follow and that I I'm friends with some of those guys also. And it was doing like some numbers in the beginning, but when it released, I think it's peaked at like 500,000 or like 450,000 concurrent players. Um, and I think it's sold easily over 5 million copies at this point. I'm pretty sure it
Not a
outsold.
lightweight.
I'm pretty sure it outsold the new Assassin's Creed game, which everyone is talking about.
Hmm.
I don't. I'm not an Ubisoft guy. Don't know anything about it. Any of that. Uh,
That's to bring it to a Nintendo franchise off the top of my head that I know the sales for Luigi's Mansion 2 were only like in the 3 million range. So it outsold a Mario adjacent game.
and it's a $20 game in the US. Where I live, it's like $10, so I picked it up, and I've been having a blast with it. I've been debating on whether I should record it because I've just been having so much fun with it. When I get the time to play, like I've been having a little bit more time to play, so I've been thinking about getting back into like Tears of the Kingdom, doing things like that. But it's just so crazy. I can't believe like where we are. It happened with Balatro last year. And it's been
Yeah.
happening more and more of indie games. Like these solo developers end up like popping off, becoming millionaires overnight. And it's nice to see the gaming community just respond and say, it's just a fun game and that's it.
Hmm.
Like it's just a fun game and it's got a great gameplay loop and you can play slow, you can play fast, you can do whatever you want. So I'm very happy to see uh the community respond that way. It's from sole developer and he called his studio Tyler Game Studios, which I just think is hilarious. Like, way to go, Tyler. Yeah, good for you. That that relates to, and then I'll let you go with the news item because this is short. Um, Vampire Survivors 2 released a free DLC based off the Saga series. And do you play that series? It's Square. I know it's related to Final Fantasy.
No, I never got into the Saga series.
But you probably know about it more a little bit more than me, because I know it's
Eh,
Square, and that's
Yeah,
about it. Um,
I'm just getting to Octopath Traveler this year. I'm kind of behind on that stuff, you know?
yeah. The only thing I'll say about that then is I can't comment on the Saga series really at all. Is that it's Square, it's a free DLC. They had the paid Castlevania DLC last year, which was huge. It was like a full circle gaming moment, getting to collaborate with the people that mainly inspired your game. And this sole developer Ponkel is just releasing free DLC without any kind of like real like expectation of it. You know, it's a $5 game, and at this point, it just feels like a side mission. Like it just feels like extra things he's doing. Like, how many other big developers can I work with before I move on? That's it. If you have
Well,
not played Vampire
speaking of indie
Survivors,
games,
yeah.
I started the Plucky Squire this week, and I was not aware of how incredibly short that game is. I think I'll be done with it by the end of the week. Um, but I gotta say, it's really good. I don't know how much the game cost because I had it on PlayStation Plus. So I know it's available on like every system, but if you have PlayStation Plus, it's in the library. And I can separate my opinion of it from whatever they're charging because I don't know. But like as far as gameplay goes, like I said, it's super short. That's the only reason I'm bringing price up. But other than that, it's a great time. There's a lot of clever ideas in there. It's really creative. And it's just like a very good. I know we toss around the term casual game too much, but it's like the difficulty level is very low. So it's that kind of casual where there's no frustration. You can kind of just breeze through it and see a couple of clever puzzles. So I highly recommend Plucky Squire if it's something you're interested in.
I think it's $30, I think.
Yeah, that's a
I'm
little
not sure.
high.
I'm not sure though. Yeah, if it
Yeah,
has,
that's a little high, but if you've got PlayStation Plus, it's worth the time.
yeah, yeah, if it has, like replayability, man, that brings up a point that I'm going to talk about with the spotlight later. That I'm not going to forget because that, that- that's important. This whole like cloud service situation that we're in right now. Um,
Mhm.
It also relates to something, not the Mario Kart direct I was watching. Yeah, something else. But anyways,
Oh,
um,
I got a good segue. So
yeah.
speaking of game prices, um, an article I read this week, didn't exactly say this word for word, but it sort of insinuated that Reggie, we all know Reggie, who's not with Nintendo anymore, but he was there for the glory days of the Wii and the sadness of the Wii U. Um, He probably would have gotten us the controversial Switch 2 welcome tour that everyone is saying should be free. He probably would have gotten that for to us for free because the article, Reggie recently himself, he made mention of some old IGN interviews he did where he was talking about he had to fight tooth and nail to get Wii Sports included as a pack-in game and not as a separate purchase with the Nintendo Wii. And I think we can all see in hindsight that that game made the Nintendo Wii, so it was a good move on his part. Um, Many people are inferring that those posts are a reference to the $10 price tag for Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Side note, um, I'm kind of hoping that this is the last complaint topic that I bring up about pricing because I'm sick of talking about it. But yeah, it was just an interesting read to see that he had to fight to get Wii Sports included.
Was Does Reggie have a background in law? Because this is like like I brought it up last week. This is like the most lawyer like way to. I just it's just so
Yeah,
fun it's just so funny that, like, Reggie knows, or at least Reggie has
that
has at
people will
least
make the connection. Yeah.
yeah, and, like, if anyone calls him out on it, he can be like, What? I'm just sharing videos, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing videos. What are you talking about? That's you. That's you making that inference. I didn't do it." So, I just think that's, like, a very, like I thought it was a very Reggie thing to do, be like, here's this random video, just no reason, like, hey, everyone loves the Wii, right? There's nothing else in Nintendo going on which would make me want to share this video randomly right now. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Like, audience, you fill in the blanks, and hey, if anyone ever says anything to me face to face, hey, I didn't say anything. Um, it yeah, it in these treehouse events, I don't know.
Mhm.
They're either like they're either like not enjoying it as much as they're putting out, or like or it's not being captured on video correctly. Like when they were like showing off Breath of the Wild, and they were like,
Mhm.
"Wow, you can see the trees." Like,
Well, I think they have a weird focus right now where it's almost like they haven't, because it's the Switch 2 instead of a new system. So it's like they're still kind of stuck in that Switch era. And I saw somebody describe this really well the other day. I wish I remember where I heard this, but the the gist of it stuck in my head, which is that the Nintendo Switch did such a good job of being like a love letter to Nintendo's entire history, and like all of the entries we saw of their classic franchises like Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild um made tons of references to older games in those franchises, and it was just like, a celebration of all things Nintendo just like us. Whereas they're like, now that they've done that, what the Switch 2 needs to do is establish a new kind of start point, which I think they kind of got going by giving us a Donkey Kong game instead of a Mario game right away. And Donkey Kong Bonanza does kind of look like that's what they're trying to do. But all of the focus right now is on Mario Kart. And I think that's hurting that movement forward, even though I'm sure Mario Kart's going to be a great game. Um, I don't know. Just a random thought that kind of connects to that is like it's time to establish the Switch 2's identity. And a lot of these treehouse things that you were mentioning are them looking back at like, hey, look, we made the Switch a little better. And it's like, no, well, make the Switch 2. Don't make the Switch a little better. Make the Switch 2. Show us what that is, you know?
I just think it's interesting where it should be like, it should be, like, the best. Like,
Hmm.
I've always thought that, like, developers, companies, they should have, like, the best content creators working for them, and it always seems kinda strange, like, there's, like, this sorta disconnect, like, um, MLB The Show, for example. I know that they've hired content creators, to work for their company, but their content is horrible. And I never understood why, if you hire these YouTubers that I watch, and then, like, and then for some reason you get to these live streams, and it's just like there's like this disconnect of like, do you even like this game? And Sean's not here. Sean put in the notes about the switch up video, because they went and they previewed it, and they do a great job of just being like pumped up about this system, and I'm
Hmm.
not saying like me and you, for example, would do a better job. But I could just imagine, like, if me and you got to like go preview the system and make a video, I bet we'd be on there like pumped up, enthusiastic, talking about these games. Um, so
Hmm.
it just seems strange that like I think most YouTubers that I watch are much more like enthusiastic about these games than like the I'm talking too much trash in in the Treehouse presentation, but it's
Well, I
just
think another part
kind
of
of
the
what I got.
weirdness too, is just my own thought here is like, I think Nintendo's, they've gotten overly secretive in the last couple of years and more so than they were before. And I think they're being very reluctant to like reveal any of their plans about anything is starting to hurt them because we want to get excited about these things and incorporate them into these tree houses and stuff and talk about all of the Nintendo franchises, but they only want to focus on one at a time. And when Nintendo was desperate at the beginning of the Switch, like desperate Nintendo was better than successful Nintendo. Because desperate Nintendo at the beginning of the Switch was literally, if you can look back at the Switch 2, the Switches, the original Switches reveal. They were telling us about games that were like over a year away from coming out, but they were like, "Hey guys, we promise we got all this stuff coming." And it's like now they don't want to let you know anything that's further out than 1 or 2 months, and it's like it's so short-sighted where we're gonna be, you know?
Well, I'll add on to that as well because this all relates. Um, I don't think Donkey Kong's ready. Based on what I've seen so far. It looks
Mhm.
impressive. It looks like I didn't realize how like that you're just gonna be able to destroy like everything in the game, I guess. Like you're just gonna be able to
Yeah, to the
smash.
point where there's apparently a reset in the menu. I don't know if you saw that, like, if you somehow break the level in a way that, like, prevents progression, you can, like, undo your breaking.
They added a Tears of the Kingdom like recall or like not recall,
Yeah,
yeah, whatever
exactly,
it
yeah.
is. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I think either like one, I'm 100% convinced this is the whatever engine they use Mario Odyssey on, as we've mentioned.
Mhm.
But either it's not gonna run as good or it's not ready because all the previews I've seen so far, like a lot of things are going on in the screen, but it's a little bit choppy for sure. It could and again, it could be also just how it's being translated on a recording, but that's what I'm getting is that that game might not be 100% ready, which is just fine, which is fair.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, the other news item I wanted to talk about this week, the only other one that really caught my attention was they showed us a good look at how the Nintendo Switch Online app is gonna look on the Switch 2, which is much cleaner. I believe we said this on our podcast before that we all kind of agreed it should be under a single app instead of an app for each system. So that's what it is now. You're under one app, and then when you open that app, the systems are up top, kind of like on Disney Plus, how they have up top, it'll be like Star Wars, Marvel, National Geographic, Hulu up at the top. And then whatever system you have selected, the library is down below. That's very nice. They're also the Nintendo 64 library is getting a CRT filter and button mapping for the controllers because I think that's because so many, everyone talks about how weird the Nintendo 64 controller is. And a number of people have complained specifically about the games on Switch Online not translating well to a Switch controller or a Switch Pro controller. So I think this is Nintendo's way of being like, well, you know what? You can map the buttons however you want them. Do it. Um, and they also added rewind to Nintendo 64. So that's nice. And the big I don't know, announcement about this service is that it's no longer called Nintendo Switch Online. They changed the name to Nintendo Switch app, which I'm not a fan of yet. Maybe it has to grow on me. It sounds like the app for where my Switch 1 games were transferred over to, like, here's the Nintendo Switch app, and then everything else is the Nintendo Switch 2. But you remember how, like, you could transfer your Wii channel to your Nintendo Wii U, and it was like, there's the Wii channel, there's the Switch app, but I don't know. Maybe the more generic name implies that the app's gonna do more, but we'll see.
All right. Well, here's my speculation. I just
Okay.
I just thought about this morning. Well, I'll give you what I think, and then what it could be. Or actually, I don't know if it could be, but it's fun to think about. I think it's just to get more people to sign up for it. Like, oh, it's the paid app that's on the Switch, and perhaps it does more later, and perhaps that's where they put the news items. I don't know, but
Oh, well, they did show us it does a little more than the games now. Basically, it does everything Nintendo Switch Online related. So, you know how you would spend your coins on the little icons you had for your profile, like that's in there now instead of in a separate place on the bottom. Um, and like I think your cloud data transfers are on there. Like all that stuff that was in the Switch Online tab at the bottom of your Switch are now in this as well.
what connections would there be if they actually made a Nintendo Switch app? Like if like we have I guess it wouldn't happen because they just released an app for Nintendo News.
Mhm.
It's just fun to think about though. Like um it would never happen, right? Because like Xbox does cloud service on like mobile devices. It would never
I
happen,
think you got
right?
some Switch 3 ideas there.
Like like Nintendo would never allow you to play like NES games on like streamed to your phone, right? Something like that.
Who knows?
I don't
Who
know.
knows?
I don't know. This would be a
Who
better
knows where
spec.
we'll be when the Switch 3 drops in 2035?
Yeah, it would be a better speculation if they didn't just release an app, but I think they're just changing the name to get more people just more casuals, more parents to be like, "Oh, that's the Switch app. Oh, it's $20 a
Mhm,
year. Oh, okay." Or it's $50 a year, or it's $5 a month, or whatever it might be that you're interested in.
mhm.
So, um, they gave me the 2 things that I asked for, so I can't complain. Um,
Yep.
uh, I I'm most interested in the eShop, so they have to show us that. Well, they don't have to show us that, but I wanna see it. That's what I'm most interested in. And, I would like to see more home screen customization, but it would not be for me because I would for me, I'm just doing dark mode as simple as it get as much off my home screen as you can. But I do wish there were unlockable themes or overlays that other people could have because why not? Just give people that option. Button mapping, you know how I feel. Just let us choose the buttons for any game. That's how it should
I
be.
remember one time I read an article where, like, it was with, like, a game developer, and they said that, like, button customization in games is such an easy thing for them to program that he's like, "It honestly every video game should offer it. Every single video game should offer custom controls."
Why not?
Don't know why they don't.
Why not? And like just give people agency. We're not competitive. Um, like we're not competitive. We're not all competitive gamers. And I mean, if I can do it easily on my Steam Deck, because on my Steam Deck, I just do it through the Steam hardware, there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do it on everything. And if someone wants to play with like really weird controls, you want to make up, down, left, and right, I don't care. Like, doesn't matter to me. Um, and I have to imagine too, like it would just help make the games more accessible in the long run also, because, like, I do know they make, like, Joy-Con holders or, like, controllers that people can use with one hand,
Mhm.
like, things like that.
Yeah, they've been doing that all the way back to, I think, Nintendo 64.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So, um, I say if there's no reason to not have it, then yeah, so, like, I can't complain. I'm just overall very happy about it. It should run a lot better as well on this new hardware, which was a bit more powerful than I had thought. It was rumored to be that, but I thought, I don't. We'll see. Um, so yeah, show me the eShop. That's what I want to see. But NSO
Yeah,
looks pretty good.
this is like the worst stage of it where you're like, okay, just give me the thing. Like, because you've clearly announced everything you're gonna announce. I still have questions. So just give me the thing. I want to answer them myself.
I I think it's much better. Yeah, it's gonna be much better, and it shouldn't matter which subscription you have. Um, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder what they're gonna do for people who have just the base subscription. Are those systems gonna be up there like grayed out, like to tempt you to upgrade or something? No, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So let's stay on NSO. I didn't put it in notes. Do you have a notes of which games were released? I know one of them, but do you have the other two?
I added them to the spreadsheet. I know one. Yeah, one of them was. Hold on, let me find it here. Where there's so much Nintendo news this week. I'm sifting through so many like potential things we were going to talk about. Um,
Oh, I
where did
think
they? Here we go. Three. Okay, I got it. It's Streets of Rage, Super Thunderblade, and eSWAT Shooting Under Siege, all Sega Genesis games.
if you want fighting games on NSO, you got them again and
One
again.
of them I think is like a helicopter game. I think eSWAT, City Under, or no, Thunderblade. I don't know. I looked through them real quick.
It sounds like a helicopter game.
Yeah, yeah, Super Thunderblade is a helicopter game. Shots is from like the behind the helicopter point of view. A lot of these look like if you had to have an AI create a Sega Genesis game, I think you wouldn't get something far off from this. Like, there's a lot of Genesis games that look like these games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've only played the big one that was released, and the only
E3.
yes, Streets of Rage, and the only note that I took was I was surprised to find out this is the only legit way you can play Streets of Rage online in PAL regions. Something I would never do, but it was something that was put out on Blue Sky. That's just not right. Like that should never
Yeah.
happen. Like I know like there's plenty of ways you can play the game, but there should be an actual official way. That's a pretty big series. So um
Hmm.
yeah,
Always got to push people towards the new game.
not too whenever these games come up, I'll be excited to check out some new games, I guess. Uh, Ke- Kevin, have you ever ridden in a helicopter?
No,
Would
kind of scared to. What's that?
you? Would you?
I don't think so, unless I absolutely had to. Like I was being helicopter lifted somewhere or something.
That's different. I don't have a choice.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and even then I'd be kind of under the helicopter. No, yeah, no, I don't think I want to. I one time I sat on I dropped one propeller right next to my seat. That was very bad. Enough.
After smoking and after the way the last couple of years have gone, there's no way I would play it ever. Unless
No,
it was
and I did
each
just
one.
take a vacation where it came up because they have helicopter tours, and I was just like, not only do I not want to get in a helicopter, but it just didn't seem worth the money for me. They only last like 20 minutes, and I'm like, it's not worth it.
I mean, they're super expensive to use. It's like I get that, like that's why Kobe Bryant showing up in a helicopter all the time was like, you could show up in any kind of car or whatever, but you show up in a helicopter, it's different. But yeah, there's ain't no way I'd get into. I mean, I I I don't like going in those like air troopers or those like eight-person planes that they have. Like
Yeah.
even planes that small, I don't like to fly on because you hit like
Well, how would you feel sitting right next to the propeller?
yeah
That's how
yeah
I was the whole flight.
you mean you hit like the tiniest bit of turbulence and it's like oh god so uh uh it anyways yeah flying was one of the many things that I don't like about too hard because it freaks me out the
Mm.
fact that we can do it. Surgery is right up there as well. I mean both were like very important. I don't but they're things that are
Hey, I see both at my work. We've got a helicopter pad and we work at a hop. It's not.
not that it's weird.
Eat what?
Yeah, yeah, surgery is like the most metal thing. Um, just period. Okay, so let me so we did finish. Oh, all right. Let's do 2 minutes of Mario Kart before we do our fun segment for today. Um,
Okay.
so we had the Mario Kart World Tour Direct. I believe it was like 15 minutes of actual presentation.
Yeah,
Um,
there wasn't much, and there also, I don't think, was anything if you're chronically online like you and I are, I don't think there was anything new in this presentation. I think if you went from the direct to here without reading any articles, you might have learned something, but like everything in here had leaked in an article in the in between weeks.
I think if you know Mario Kart a little bit, you're like good.
Yeah.
Because like why was it like you can play Grand Prix? And it's like, oh, okay.
I think the only thing here I hadn't seen confirmed before is they sort of explained more what the free roam mode would be, where they showed that you had those challenges where it would improve your driving abilities, where it's basically going to be a lot of like almost like those Korok tests where you have to get to the the
Yep,
point before the circle closes.
yep.
Like it's a lot like that. Like they got different driving tests and you can do those to improve your skills.
First thing I thought of. Exactly what I thought of
Mhm.
when I saw that. Show us more of that. That's the selling point for me is that if you're gonna make an $80 game, you gotta give me a solid single player experience.
I thought
Where
it
is
was
it?
gonna be more like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, where there would just be like NPCs throughout the world who would give you different challenges other than like drive from this point to this point fast.
Yeah.
You know? Like, hey, because like you can grind on things now and you got the new jump abilities and stuff. They could have added more platforming challenges, I think.
Yeah. And I like
But maybe I don't mean to keep
yeah.
interrupting
Yeah,
you,
go
but
ahead.
maybe some of those will be platform heavy, like it'll be get from this point to this point fast, but you have to platform to do it or whatever.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
just think they would show more of that to like sell their game. It was kind of confusing that way. The open world looks good, and I like the idea of the outfits. Um, Open world is like the number one thing that I would have asked for, I think. But I do wish there was more of a relationship with your actual vehicle. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure we're not going to be choosing like all of the wheels and everything. They didn't show that, and which is fine. Like sometimes it gets to be too much, but I do wish you could drive around the world and then like go into a garage and like get
Mhm.
upgrades that way. Um like, I just wish it was more of, like, just pick the vehicle you want and go. I know you're gonna unlock vehicles as you go also, but, That's the other part that, um, I wish I would've seen, but, yeah, like, I just wanna say it, like, if anyone thinks, like, the DLC is gonna be included and they didn't mention it in this direct, I think it's severe wishful thinking. I think in the end, this game is easily
I'm still in
over
disagreement on
$100.
that. I
Yeah.
still don't think there's gonna be a DLC for this game. I'll go on that limb. I don't think there's gonna be.
Yeah. I
We'll see.
and I'm not saying that I'm right.
Yeah.
And I will be thrilled to be wrong for this one. I will be. I would just think they would like they would just said at some point during this presentation to make people go, okay, like everything's just been so expensive, and
Mhm.
Nintendo has seen everything that people have said about that. They could have given us some relief saying, "Hey, this game, which the game before it is like a top 20 all-time game selling, you're gonna get 8 years of support from us if you buy this game." Okay,
Mhm.
okay, $80, cool. Like, if I don't want it, I can buy it on sale, and then, like, I have Mario Kart on my system, all of it, in a solid online, a solid first player, um
There's also always the potential that this is the first Nintendo system to give us multiple Mario Karts, or first home console, I should say. The DS had a few. But, yeah, they could release another Mario Kart is all I'm saying, like, a few years from now and have it be like a DLC heavy type thing like you're saying.
We could. I mean, there's multiple Forza games, so
Yeah,
I don't see why not. But that wouldn't fix the fact that this isn't this game is really expensive. Uh,
yeah.
it, so what else? Rewind is interesting.
Mhm.
Like the rewind feature. Um, that's really interesting. But that's kind of
They showed us a couple of new power-ups that we had never seen before, like
mega mushroom.
the,
Sorry.
yeah, the coin, the one that where you get the coins and you go faster,
Yeah, the
these little things.
hammer. It's hammer
Yeah.
time. Um, could you always play as the penguin? Was that in
What do
Mario
you
Kart
mean then,
8?
like
Like the blue penguin?
I don't think so. I think that's new.
I think that's new too. I think that was in Mario Kart 8. And that's why Shine needs to be here.
It's
I don't
interesting that
play
the
as the
focus on this is so much like we have 25 characters, and yet they didn't decide to go the route where, like, for years, Mario Kart people have been saying, like, "Do, like, an all-star Mario Kart where you've got, like, Link and you got the" I almost said Donkey Kong, he is in there. But, you know what I mean, like, other Nintendo characters, Kirby, even though he has his Air Riders game, like, a just more of a Nintendo all-inclusive Smash Brothers type thing, but it's interesting that they stuck it with just, Mario characters.
Does anyone else yeah, where are the Miis? That's what I wanna know. Um,
Mhm.
th does anyone else hear 24 characters, like, possible and think, like, I'm good on that actually. Like, like
Yeah.
I would actually
You know
I would actually go to
I've made
12.
my thoughts on this, very vocalized in the past on, when we talk about Smash Brothers, and I feel like that roster's gotten out of control, and I definitely prefer a smaller cast where everybody feels like they're there for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, there's no duplicates, there's no clones. If you are gonna do that, make it an alternate thing in the same character slot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Daisy and Peach are gonna play identically, put them in the same character slot and just have you cycle. Like, I don't I want everyone to be there for a reason.
I I think they do need to they showed the UI a little bit. I'm hoping that you can sort it somehow or like star your favorites because yeah, it does get pretty overwhelming. I'm talking about, like, the actual you can play online with up to
Oh,
24 characters, 4 like, I get, like, 4 teams of 6 or whatever it is, and I'm just thinking, like, you know, like I hate falling into, like, 12th place, like, I don't know
Mhm.
if I wanna go from, like, 2nd place to 24th place, um, it
Yeah, and I gotta say, after this presentation, I was on the fence about whether I was gonna get this before. I talked about getting it as the pack-in. I'm still on the fence if I'm gonna get it. I might even skip it, get the cheaper, package of just the system and dive into the Switch 2 with Donkey Kong. I haven't decided yet.
man,
I don't know.
I would be worried if I was Nintendo,
Mhm.
uh
When you get people who are so passionate that they've made their own Nintendo podcast saying like, I don't know about your big debut title."
yeah.
Eh, I
Well,
don't
and
know.
I'll I'll just I guess I'll spin zone it to say it might not be a bad problem, the fact that there are so many launch titles,
Mhm.
um, but it might be distracting considering that the launch of the system, it's probably not gonna go as smoothly as Nintendo wanted to. Um, it
I'll say I'm leaning towards getting it. I'm leaning towards getting the pack-in bundle. I'm just saying I might end up changing my mind. I'm not super passionate about this one.
I mean, if I can get a Switch 2 day 1, probably gonna do it. It just
Mhm.
depends. Summertime's tough because, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna wanna go to the beach or something, and, like, there's just other things, like, there's other things going on. But if
Yard work.
if I were to get it day 1,
Mhm.
I'm not getting Mario Kart. I'm gonna be playing, like, Yakuza or Cyberpunk or, what Breath of the Wild, one of the games I've played already, you know? Like,
Mhm.
so there's that. What Kevin, which game are we gonna get you to play on this new system? Is it gonna be Yakuza Like a Dragon,
I don't know, I'm
Cyberpunk?
still working on the backlog from this one. Like I said, the one that I'm ready to dive into soon that everyone's been recommending to me is Octopath Traveler, which I've put off forever. So I finally bought it this year. It's on the list. I haven't even started it yet because I'm mainly playing, like I said earlier, Plucky Squire right now. Um, what else am I playing? I'm trying to finish Chrono Cross. I'm like three-fourths of the way through that. So we'll see.
Well, I hope you will. I know you
I'm
will
thinking
because
I've
you
been
will.
thinking about demolishing my Animal Crossing island and doing a whole new theme. I think I might want to build a post-apocalyptic island. I don't know.
Uh-huh, they got a lot of good things for that
Mhm,
now. Uh, s yeah, yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm pretty sure the Switch 2 will become my new Yakuza, system. Once those games go on sale, I'll pick them up. I already have Kiwami on my Switch, so yeah, yeah, I'm excited about that, and yeah, if I had Switch 2 day 1, it's not gonna be Mario Kart, it would be like a third party, I think, or an
mhm.
older game. Alright, let me just transition here. Our game today our game today is called, Hire One, Fire One, Promote One, and this is the NPC edition, and I'm gonna forget NPC names, so fans, you can yell at me in the
Okay.
comments, when
Well,
I
between
do.
the 2 of us, maybe we'll get them.
So, um, you can imagine that you work in an office or you work where you work now. I'm gonna
Mhm.
say I work at home, so I'm gonna say I work at some kind of corporate office here, and we have 5 rounds.
I'll keep it generic. I already said that I work at a hospital, so I'm gonna stick with that since I mentioned it on this podcast. I'm gonna be hiring these for a hospital position.
Okay, okay. So if you promote them, you can decide what they're being promoted to. Round one, we're
Alright.
calling Mushroom Kingdom Mayhem, and we have Toad, and we have Birdo, and we have who's the last one?
Um, oh, man, it begins with a K. I'm
Oh,
thinking
is it Kamek or Kamek?
Kamek, yeah.
Kamek. Kamek that's right, because I always say this one wrong, and it came up in the direct last night. So,
All I was thinking in my head was Kremlin, and I'm like, "That's not right." But alright,
okay.
yeah, Kamek.
Alright, so you have to
Um,
hire one, fire one, promote one.
okay, well, Kamek's fired, and not just because he's a bad guy character, but he just looks like an HR nightmare. Like, he just looks like he's constantly like he can't control himself, and he's casting spells on other coworkers left and right.
Okay.
You can't have that. You can't have that. So, Kamek, I'm firing. Now, I have to hire or promote one of these guys. I think hire Birdo because Birdo, she's got like the sometimes she's a bad guy, sometimes she's just a supporting character. You never know with her. She needs to be on a probationary period. And then Toad, I mean, he's just an overachiever all day. Like that guy's doing everything. Like they made a whole kingdom of clones of him because they knew how much of an overachiever he was. So those are my answers.
Toad is a straight shooter with upper
Mhm.
management written all over it, or whatever they say in
Yeah.
Office Space. Um,
Yep.
so I don't have much else to say. Kamek reminds me of a Wizrobe, which is like my least favorite
Mhm.
enemy of like any Nintendo, and I hate Wizrobes. Absolutely, they're so weird. So Kamek
Mhm.
gets fired. I'm the same order as you. Round 2 is called Animal Crossing Dilemma. We have
Mm.
Tom Nook, Isabella, and Mr. Resetti.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with promote Isabella because she's for almost the same reasons as Toad. She's just been working so hard forever. I feel like she gets overlooked. Um, she's not winning like employee of the month as often as she should be. So even though there's only the two of them in that office, Tom Nook just keeps giving it to himself. um, so I think she deserves a promotion. um, Tom Nook, he stays hired because he's I don't like the hate. We've brought this up before too that Tom Nook has in the Animal Crossing community. I mean, the dude gives you a loan, a zero interest loan, and never paying it back. It's your choice when you want to. He's a good guy, so he can stay hired. And that leaves Resetti fired, which is probably safe because he's again HR nightmare. He seems like he's probably flipping tables in the break room because somebody microwaved something smelly. I don't know.
Resetti reminds me of someone that I would be friends with, but that would be like like someone that I'd say I'm friends with them, but I would never work with them, which is a lot of my friends because I could
Yeah, he's the
see
type of person who like loses his mind because somebody broke like a very minor rule at the company.
because friends sitting around venting about work, that's normal stuff. But yeah, I mean I think we all have that. I think we all have friends that's like, yeah, it would probably be best if we did not collaborate on anything, but you're an awesome guy. I always liked Resetti, even when I was a kid, but
Hmm.
I like making him mad. Yeah, I wouldn't work with uh okay, promote Isabella. Let's go with that. Okay, all right. This isn't a debate topic, so all right. I'm
It's a conversation starter.
round 3 is gonna be rough. I don't know round 3. Round 3 is called the Zelda Conundrum.
Wow.
All right. I know what's the first one?
What is that guy's name?
With
That guy. Well, that sounded more like Kirby, but you know what I mean when he
yeah,
says that, like,
the
"Hey."
the
Oh.
um
Um,
I yeah, I can't open Google right now. The
yeah,
well,
I'm
number
Googling
2
it
is
right now.
Tingle.
It's, Beetle. Beetle.
Beetle,
Why couldn't I think of that?
we have Beetle,
Yeah,
we have Tingle,
and then the windmill guy.
and the windmill guy who I cannot remember either.
I don't know if he has a name. Let me Google that too.
Zelda windmill guy. I wanted to add him because I thought it was funny, but now I can't remember his name.
It's just called Phonograph Man. Phonogram Man.
Okay.
He doesn't
Beetle.
have a name.
Beetle, Tingle, Phonograph Man for the people not watching on video. Right. What do you think?
Dun, dun, dun-dun-dun. Okay, I mean, that's one of my favorite songs from that game is the Song of Storms he teaches. I mean, the most obvious answer in this one is you fire Tingle. I don't know why he has such a big following in Japan, but I kind of agree with the North American audience in that I'm annoyed by Tingle. I'm not I don't want him around. And then huh, do I wanna promote this guy for you know what? They're both really hard workers, actually. I was gonna say he's playing music all day, such a hard worker, but, like, Beetle is just constantly out there rowing his boat, selling his merch, but he is kinda just chilling inside. You know what? I'm promoting Phonogram Man because he's working up a sweat on that crank. Beetle, he's sitting inside, he's not trying to upsell me ever when I'm in there. He's not trying to, really push the corporate credit card, which is those rewards points that you get for buying things from him. He's just doing his job. He's just entry level, plain, no excitement about the job. So Beetle just gets hired. Phonograph Man promoted.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I was gonna promote Beetle. I was thinking like Breath of the Wild, he just keeps showing up everywhere.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, but I also thought there was like multiple of them, much like yeah, like
Mhm.
much like Toad.
He's
So
in Skyward Sword too, although I don't follow the Zelda timeline. I don't know if that's like a different Beetle, but
yeah,
he's
yeah,
there.
I actually thought that it might have been like uh maybe not a family, but how could it just be like that there's, like, multiple of them? Yeah, I don't know. Um, but he keeps showing up everywhere when you play Breath of the Wild. Uh, so I think I would promote him, see how he does. Alright, round 4 is called Weird Wild Cards. We have Captain Olimar, right?
Yep,
Olimar,
Olimar.
Funky Kong, and who's the star guy from Galaxy and Odyssey? I mean, Galaxy and
Lu- Luma Lee, I think is that one's name.
Luma?
Well, the species is Luma, and that one is Luma Lee, the blue one.
Oh,
See, I did know one.
I might have messed
I
up
had some
there.
obscure Nintendo in me.
I might have chose a different color on this one, but let's go with Luma Lee.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Um,
I yeah, perhaps there's a better color for you can choose whatever Luma you want, I guess. I don't
okay, yeah,
know.
just
Alright.
generic Luma. This is like the hardest round. Who do I want to? I don't know if that I want to lose any of them. Although, I feel like if I've got to fire one, it's gonna be Funky Kong because I feel like he is showing up to work under the influence of various substances and just kind of falling asleep at his desk. I don't think Funky Kong is fit for the workplace. He's more of a party dude. So now it's down to Olimar and Blue Guy. Um, Olimar gets promoted because Olimar he was stranded. He he was like in a nightmare scenario where he could have died. He had like a 3-day time limit on an isolated planet. And then when he got home, they sent him straight back and he didn't ask any questions. He was just like, "Okay, the company's sending me back. I got to go cuz it's the sequel." So, that's like they didn't even let him process that trauma of being stuck on an isolated planet. So he gets promoted and then Luma just gets hired.
They're making a sequel. Gotta go back.
Yep.
We're making another game, guys.
And here, bring this idiot with you. By
Eh.
the way, is the twist for Pikmin 2.
Yeah, yeah. That reminds me of well, anyway, we gotta move on. Uh, Funky Kong, man, like, he does remind me of someone you would have at a company just for, like, morale. Like, I think and this might not be a serious company, but
Takes 2-hour lunch breaks.
I
Yeah.
think we've all worked, perhaps it's service industry or a restaurant or something where you've had someone that the bosses keep around just because, like, he's fun to be around. Like, perhaps he's, like, not the best worker, but he definitely helps, like, have people be in a good mood when he's there. But, yeah, perhaps he's shown
He's
up
been on
late.
he's been on final warning for attendance, like, 6 different times.
Yeah,
Every time they do it, he comes in on time for the next, like, couple of weeks, but then he dips right back into his bad habits.
yeah. Yeah. That describes so many people I've worked with, and I
Yep.
I and I guess that's just, like, I guess this is how it is, like, if you've worked a what we call normal job. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, last round, round 5, we call it Smash Support Squad. I don't know the first one. We got Waluigi,
Master Hand.
Master Hand.
You didn't know Master Hand? Oh, I
I
watch too many Smash Brothers on YouTube.
I you know what? I do, and I and
Okay.
I and I had it in my other notes that I put this whole graphic together. But yeah, it just I'm bad with names. I'm bad with names. Mr. Hand, Master Hand,
Mhm.
Waluigi, and the dog from Duck Hunt, which I don't think has a name.
I don't think so.
I don't
Um, I feel like the dog is already promoted because he's always, like, kissing the boss's butt, he's the suck up at the office, and the every time the boss, like, makes a snide comment about something, he's going like, that thing he does.
Mhm.
So, yeah, the duck hunt dog is probably already promoted. He's the assistant to the manager. Um, and yeah, he's definitely a Dwight Schrute personality. Now, I'm gonna hire Waluigi because I got a good feeling about this guy. You just walk away from that interview and say, you know what, I got a good. Oh wait, but that means I have to promote Master Hand, and I don't. I'm just gonna hire. Oh no, I have to fire one. That's what it is. Okay, so I'm gonna hire Waluigi. I'm gonna fire Master Hand and justify that by saying that guy's just way too aggressive. He was always poking at things. He's always poking at you. He's always trying to push you around. I don't see any reason that kind of behavior belongs in the workplace. So there you go.
So Waluigi, what kind? He's working at the hospital. What is
I
he
mean, let's be
doing?
honest. He's not going to pass the drug test anyway, or he's going to throw a fit about having to get his vaccination records. But but yeah, what's he gonna do at the hospital? I mean, maybe it's just the suspenders, but I'm seeing a custodial worker out of this guy. I don't know. It's definitely he can clean up around the place.
So he's being promoted, so he's
Oh
the head. What would you
no, the
call
dog was promoted. He was
dog?
just
Oh,
hired.
dog was promoted. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He was
Yeah.
he was al he was already promoted. He was all he was
Yep.
all he was already there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Uh, got it. And then you can't have Master Hand at a hospital. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Knocking stretchers over.
yeah. That's just not gonna work. All right, listeners, let us
He is wearing
know.
gloves though. That helps.
That is true.
All of them except the dog are wearing gloves.
That that is true. That is true, but the dog's working in an office at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, he's admin. He's not getting his hands dirty. No, no, no. Listeners, let us know your thoughts. Who would you promote? Who would you fire? Were we wrong? Does it make you upset that you listen to a Nintendo podcast, but I don't know the names of these guys? Just let us know. And
So our spotlight game this week is Kirby Super Star for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Came out in March of 1996 in Japan. and September of 96 in North America, literally just a week or two before the Nintendo 64 launched. So yeah, very late release Super Nintendo game, not the latest, but pretty late. Um, and it is the game that you'll recognize by the cover that says it is 8 games in one. And there are various different play modes, various different styles. I had a few pieces of trivia about this I found this week. Let me find my notes here. So, despite releasing close to the Nintendo 64, the prototype for this game was developed all the way back on the original NES, the original Nintendo. According to Sakurai, although the prototype was for internal use only, it was almost complete, and some of Kirby's animations were nearly identical to the final game. The prototype was used to test out ideas before implementing them in the final product. So, what we would probably refer to today as like a game engine. Um, Sakurai said having the game operating on an internal build made it easier to develop ideas. And that's sort of how they wound up on the 8 games in one, as they were able to develop multiple different ideas. The
Uh,
addition of cooperative gameplay was something Shigeru Miyamoto requested. Miyamoto was always trying to implement simultaneous co-op in a Mario game, but the gameplay style of Mario was just too fast-paced to make it work, and Kirby plays at a slower pace, so it seemed like the perfect franchise for that idea to be implemented. And I gotta say he was right. It works better here than it would in, say, Super Mario Brothers. Uh, the game was the first in the series in which Kirby's appearance changes depending on what he copies. So that's kind of a neat little step for the franchise there.
yeah.
And the multiple game format was chosen because Sakurai noted most Super Nintendo and some NES games were very long, of considerable length, and the prices were high. So Kirby Superstar, it was, he said, the antithesis of that trend, with Sakurai hoping to create like smaller games within a game to give you your value's worth. Development lasted 3 years, which is longer than usual for the era. This
Pretty
is
long.
partially due to Donkey Kong Country's influence. After seeing the computer generated graphics, Sakurai basically scrapped all the visuals they had developed so far and said, "Do it again." They redid all the artwork about halfway through development. And the last piece of trivia I have, the game was also included in Kirby's Dream Collection in 2012, a 20th anniversary compilation of Kirby titles for the Wii. And then it was also Kirby Superstar is in the Super Nintendo, the Super NES Classic Edition, the little mini SNES, that's what most people call it. And it was
And
added to NSO on June 9th, 2022.
and the DS, right?
And the DS,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, which looks great, by the way. Like
Mhm.
that was that like that's a nice looking remake. Uh wow, 1996. This you could not have like a worse timed video game. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't always do my deep dives. I do when I can. I did for this one. And if you look up like any publication, it is just it's just like Mario 64, right? It's like
Yeah,
there is so much hype around other games at this time,
and to a
which are
lesser
not.
extent, other Nintendo 64 launch titles. Like I remember, Shadows of the Empire got a lot of press as well, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
that was like N64 box art, wasn't it? I know we've brought this up before, but like
yep.
wasn't that like a mascot for
The
N6?
Stormtrooper is on, yeah, the Stormtrooper is on the Nintendo 64 box, and I think there might be a screenshot from on the back.
That today we would be just pretty wild. Just,
Mhm.
yeah, just thinking about that. Uh,
Well, I could do a whole deep dive on Shadows of the Empire. Hopefully, they add to it soon. I know a lot of useless trivia about that franchise. Franchise within a franchise.
so yeah, 1996. I went back and I'm not gonna go off too much, but yeah, I love video game journalism from this era, and it just kind of puts me in this kind of like warm, happy spot. Going back and thinking like I always thought that was, like, cool, but I never thought, like, video game journalism was gonna be something I could actually do because there was only, like, 5 jobs back in the day. There wasn't that many of them that nowadays, anyone can do some version of video game journalism if you really want to.
We're doing it.
But yeah, exactly. So,
What's
um
crazy is this wasn't even the last Kirby game for the Super Nintendo. Dreamland 3 came out in like 98.
right. Right, which I'm gonna bring up kinda at the end.
Okay,
Oh, no, 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 well, it comes up in my rankings anyways, but,
gotcha.
uh, yeah, I think this is a game that this might be the only game or one of the only ones that it looks better now than when it came out because, most of the initial reviews that I read that when it came out is that it's too dated. Whereas now it's either come back or come full circle, to where a lot of graphical styles are accepted, but at the time, everyone's like, "3D? It's 3D time?" Like,
Yeah.
I think this is might be one game that actually, over time, has looked better because this is a good-looking Super Nintendo game.
And I've always argued that that was short-sightedness on their part. I feel like, especially with how small the library was, the Nintendo 64 should have had more side-scrolling games because the ones they did have are all cult classics. People love them. They're fantastic. They definitely should have explored that avenue more. But unfortunately, like you said, everybody like I could see it from an investor standpoint where like most of the developers were like, it's gotta be 3D. We gotta compete.
I got 2 questions for you, but we gotta get into the gameplay first because,
Mhm.
yeah, we haven't really talked about that too much. So, what did you think of the gameplay before I do anything else?
Well, which one? Um,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah, I like that Spring Breeze is kinda like what I've always joked about how I like games that have like 0 challenge, and Spring Breeze is and that's actually why they called it Spring Breeze, is it's like an easy remake of, the first Game Boy game, Kirby's Dream Land, and, anyway, that was a fun mode. It was like a fun classic Kirby game that had not a lot of challenge to it. Um, what was the other one? There was the race in there, Gourmet Race, which is, a precursor to his Superstar racing game that he has now. Um, what is that called? The names escape me. What's the Kirby racing game? Um,
Uh,
Star Riders. That's what it is. Um, but yeah, it's a racing game where Kirby races King DDD while eating as much food as possible. Takes place across like 3 levels, and that one I really liked, just because of the franticness of it. You've got I'm looking at my notes now. Dynablade, Kirby must stop Dynablade, a giant bird from disturbing Dreamland's crops. Mode consists of 4 levels that the player must clear before facing off against Dynablade. There are also 2 secret areas and a mini boss. Okay. And then you've got the Great Cave Offensive. It's a Metroidvania adventure that sees Kirby explore a cave. Um, some treasures reference other Nintendo franchises such as the Triforce. So this actually reminded me a little bit of Smash Brothers, which is, interesting because it's Sakurai making the game. But like it reminded me of like the trophies you'd get in like Smash Melee when you would play this level and find a Triforce and Captain Falcon's helmet and Mr. Saturn from Earthbound. It was very much like when you'd see trophies scattered about a Smash Brothers Melee stage.
Mm.
Um,
That's a good connection.
Revenge
Yeah, yeah.
Revenge of Meta Knight, story-driven mode, with Kirby and, Meta Knight, so that one was pretty cool. They definitely give you a lot of variety here. There's a boss attack mode, and there's, like, a mini game collection. It's a lot for a Super Nintendo game. I'm g I Ugh, I have no words. I'll say I really liked this game, like, I liked playing it a lot. I'm probably going to go back to it for just, like, nights where I'm like, I don't feel like continuing my file in Chrono Cross because that requires too much thinking right now, so I'll play some Kirby Superstar. You know those kinda nights?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, a lot of initial reviews also, when talking about gameplay, they emphasize the importance of just basically they said like take Mario Brothers, cut the difficulty in half, and then you have Kirby.
Mhm.
I forget that was one of the EGM or something. I don't know. Uh, but it's interesting that so many people in '96 were saying we need to have games for children or games that are easier because it's the exact same conversation we're having now. Like, how many
I've always
times
felt
have
the
we talked
Kirby
about it?
series in what it lacks in difficulty, it, like, makes up for in visuals. Like, almost all the Kirby games are gorgeous. Like, even today with Kirby Superstar Allies, like, that's a super easy game. There's almost no challenge to it, but it's a beautiful game. So, there's something I don't know if that's, like, a strategy on their part, but it's just like, I almost play Kirby games just to look at them, you know?
Yeah. So it's just interesting that that conversation and around Kirby also has just never changed. Kirby is
Mhm.
for I guess forever has been like the more easier kind of game. Maybe perhaps it is more for kids. And also something that I was thinking of when reading reviews, because it came up multiple times. Do you think or do you know if video game rentals have affected the way video games are developed because multiple reviews and this is for other games also. They say, you know, this is a good game to rent for a weekend, but perhaps you don't buy it. Because like it's a shorter game, it's a game that you could play in a few days. And I wonder if like when Nintendo was developing games back then, they ever factored in the fact that like we have
Oh.
these games that you can rent.
Yeah, they tried to fight Blockbuster. That's worth looking into if you want, and you're probably not surprised because that's how Nintendo is. But yeah, Nintendo tried to fight Blockbuster every step of the way and not let them rent Nintendo games. There's whole YouTube videos on that whole fiasco. So if you're curious, look into it. Nintendo was not happy about people being able to rent video games, period. Um, but and they ended up suing Blockbuster over the instruction manuals because Blockbuster was making like photocopies of the instruction manuals and putting them in with the games. It's a whole thing.
That would be
Uh
bad.
yeah.
That would be wrong.
So yeah. They didn't want them renting games is the point. That's a separate thing. But yeah, I noticed really the impact for me really changed when you were able to save your progress. So like from the NES to the Super NES, I didn't own a lot of original Nintendo games, but I would rent them constantly because there was no point in owning it because you couldn't even save your progress on most of them. But once you could save your progress with the Super Nintendo, that's when it started being like there's a difference here and like should this game just be a rental or should you own it and have a save file and work towards doing everything. Uh I could see how they would label this game something you should do as a rental since it's just chopped up into like little mini games, but if you're a Kirby fan and you wanna be able to constantly replay it, I don't know, the easy difficulty level too definitely lends itself to rental territory, so But nowadays you don't have to worry about that because it's on NSO and everything else. But yeah, I guess I could see what they're talking about at the time with this being more of a rental title than a game you should buy.
Yeah, I just wonder like how many games that I would have tried out over the years, or I would have tried out and not bought, tried out and did buy, if I had just had that option. Because yeah, I do wish Nintendo would change their refund, like less than 2 hour, make it Steam, less than 2 hours game
Mhm.
played digital, you can make a return or at least exchange it. Um, I
I
wish we could see
tried
that.
I tried GameFly back when it was new. That was like the last thing I really rented a game through. Like all the way back in, that must have been like 2007 or something like that, like
Yeah,
forever ago. Um, I think actually Blockbuster, when they were competing with the old school Netflix, back when you were getting Netflix in the mail. Okay, I'm going that far back. Blockbuster had a service and you could rent games through there too. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I'm remembering that now, slowly but surely.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, the last system I think I like was routinely renting games for was probably the Nintendo 64. I went already all the way up through there. But by then I was definitely preferring to own the games. Even the Super Nintendo I was.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. So I want to get in the rankings, but is this game missing anything? That's the last one I have.
I don't think so. It's got every type of mode you could want out of this type of game. I mean, Sean might argue that it's missing the Kirby golf aspect of his favorite game there, Kirby Dream Course,
Mm,
but I think that would have been a little much to tell you the truth.
yeah. I put voice acting. I
Oh
know
yeah,
I know Super Nintendo, there's some voice acting in some games, but I was thinking like as far as mechanics go, I'm with you. I don't know what else to put in here. So, the amount of
bowling.
yeah, it's a short game, but the amount of content is good. I imagine this game was worth it when it came out, but yeah, it was just very like there was absolutely no sort of focus on it. All of the all of the magazines that I saw, it was like less than a page of a feature, so a couple little blurbs. I put this one at 81. I'm putting it right above Dreamland 3 because I was thinking back and I'm like, okay, I don't think I like Dreamland 3 that much, so I'll just put it right above that.
Um, Trying to find where I ranked Dreamland 3.
Yeah, there's so many.
Because I ranked this at number 24, which I'm positive is higher than Dreamland 3. It's pretty high on my list.
Yeah,
It's right below Pilot Wing 64, and it's right above Shinobi Ninja 3. I just really liked I really liked the design. I liked it fun factor, I guess you could call it. It's just that like je ne sais quoi that like I you can't quite describe what it is about the game. I was just very comfortable playing it. So I ranked it pretty high. I'm trying to find Dreamland 3. Is Dreamland 2 with 47 and Dreamland at 48. Did I rank Dreamland 3 lower than those? I'm using a search function too, and it keeps telling me I don't have any. There we go. Now it's working.
yeah, there's so many
Just give me.
Kirby's.
All right. So Dreamland 3, I ranked at 60. Okay. Which I did rank lower than the Game Boy titles. Okay. Don't remember why, but I stand by it. um, yeah, and this is my highest ranking Kirby game so far, I believe. Where's Kirby 64? Yeah, it's higher than that.
And
So,
for me, this is the second lowest, and I would recommend it to people who want to play Kirby. I don't know.
oh, my mistake. Kirby's Dream Course, if you count that. Shout out to Sean. is my highest ranked Kirby game at 16. But yeah, this is the second highest one. Okay, let's find out what we are playing next time. All right, we did a lot of talking about racing games this week. We talked about Mario Kart, we talked about Kirby's Air Riders, we talked about did we talk about F-Zero? I don't know, but
The
we did now.
helicopter game, it's not a
The
racing
helicopter.
game, but yeah.
Yeah. So fitting with that, we next week are talking about the Nintendo 64 cult classic Iggy's Wreckin' Balls,
Mm,
the game that I joked about coming to the service when we did an episode about what is left for Nintendo 64 on the service.
mm, mhm.
Um, so now we can see what I was joking about. Iggy's Wreckin' Balls next week. Obviously, I didn't really see anything to pair it with. You know what? If Uniracers, I would pair it with Uniracers because I think they're similar games. I'm only a little familiar with both, but they seem similar. Anyway, if you played Uniracers and you've got thoughts, let us know. Comment down below. If you've got any thoughts you want us to bring up next week about Iggy's Wreckin' Balls, let us know. Kirby thoughts, Switch 2 thoughts, all the thoughts. Just put them down below. Email us, nintendotherapypod@gmail.com, and you can find us on the socials. Look at our link tree. We love you all. Thank you for listening. And just remember, we're Nintendo fans, not Nintendo experts. We probably got something wrong somewhere. See you next time.